What happened? Yes, Nate? I'm about to go in class now.
Daddy,
Yes?
make sure if Netflix is blocked, make sure it's not blocked. I haven't signed in, so I can't sign in.
Well, check it on your laptop.
I'm on here, so just make. I already have Netflix.
No, but check it on the laptop. It might not be free on the desktop. I'm going to go into class now.
Make sure Netflix is not blocked.
Her knowledge or her approval. And then there was a huge publicity outcry last year when TV Guide tacked Oprah Winfrey's head onto Ann-Margret's body. Russell Brown is a senior art director of Adobe Systems, a computer software company. He's busy at work today saying that with the right equipment, he can manipulate just about everything. Can you show us some of the things that can be done?
Yes, we'll show you the most unethical.
Check out that computer. Crazy, right?
Situation. We'll take the shot of the Nancy and Ron, and I'm going to place myself into this photograph, and using this type of technology, you can easily get things to pop right in.
And in this case, you're going to become the third member of the party.
Yes.
And there you are.
And then I can pop yourself right in.
Okay, so at the time, I mean, this was like mind-blowing stuff, right? Like, whoa, right? To the point where it made the news. I mean, Photoshop made the news, right? You know? I mean, nowadays it's commonplace, you know? If you, as a matter of fact, if you see a picture, you don't even necessarily know if it's real. We've probably extended way beyond that. If we see a video, we have to wonder if it's real as well, right? I mean, you go and you watch these blockbuster shows. Everybody here perhaps have watched like Avengers and all of that. And I mean, it is pretty much believable. So anyway, but just so we understand where we're coming from, I mean, if you look on the menu on the left, I'm going to use my drawing tool here, right? If you look at the menu on your left, and when we go into Photoshop today, that's the menu over this side. When we do Photoshop today, we're going to realize that it hasn't really changed that much over the past, I don't know, 30 odd years. Anyway, I'm going to just skip through some other parts of this so that we can understand it. But this video will be on the site, so you guys can check it out in your own time, the full video.
Fred has written a book entitled In Our Own Image, a book in which you warn against the dangers of what people like Russell do. What's so bad about monkeying with the photograph and putting himself with Ronnie and Nancy?
My concern is that if the media takes to doing what Russell is demonstrating now, that the public will begin to disbelieve photographs generally, and it won't be as effective and powerful a document of social communication as it has been for the last 150 years. The idea of a photograph is it's taken at a certain instant, and you're not supposed to be able to go back in time and move the photographer a few feet to one side. That's against what we think of photography as being.
How do you respond to these kinds of arguments, Russell?
As a graphic artist, I see this as a tool that I have, and I would never give it up.
Okay, so this is about 17 minutes long, so it's pretty interesting talking about where Photoshop came from, and you know, and the history of like Adobe and stuff. Really interesting stuff, but I mean, it's just to kind of paint the picture of where we're coming from. I mean, can you just imagine? I mean, you know. Anyway, let me add these persons in. Okay, so with that said, stop that, and I'm gonna actually make a copy of this video, and I'm gonna move it to you guys folder. So I'm gonna put it.
Sure, what's that? The Google Drive?
Yes, the back end of your website is really Google Drive in the background. That's how I created it. So I can really.
So you see my name there? Kimani Onis?
In what?
The Google for what? You don't say you have everybody name right there or something like that.
Oh, you mean on the left? No, the left is not.
No, in the drive, the Google Drive.
No. No, I don't have everybody's name here, but when I place it in a particular folder, like I'm gonna paste it in the excess in the unit 1 folder, everybody will see it. Everybody who has access to the website will see it.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've just placed it in there. So where at your leisure, guys, you can check out the rest of that short kind of history on Photoshop. All right, so let's look at what we'll be doing today. So I'm gonna bring this up here, and we want to talk a little bit about Photoshop. Okay, files. I'm gonna use my computer. And we are in week 2. Here we go. All right, so today everything is supposed to be nice and clear. All right. Oh, by the way, are you guys seeing the pictures of yourselves on the screen? Or are you just seeing?
Yes,
Um,
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I had a feeling. Okay, I guess I thought Zoom would hide that. Okay, no problem. So what we're going to do is we are going to use the other computer. There we go. All right, let's switch over. There. Okay, it's clear now. You only seen the presentation now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me spot these. Okay, so Photoshop is pretty popular today. Everybody see the image on the left versus the image on the right.
There, where can I find this PowerPoint?
Oh, there is a PDF on the class site under unit 1. So let me show you where you go. If you go to the class site, which is here, so you go to designcomputinggem.com, put in the password, which is DDM2021. When you're in, scroll down to unit 2. And did I put it there? I think I did. Oh, I perhaps didn't. I don't know. You can't see it? You can see the presentation, okay? It's pretty short, you know, because we're going to dive into other stuff. But I'm gonna
I
put it.
just finished setting up the laptop. The light was out, so I had to move to UE.
Okay. I see. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put this presentation on the site as well so you guys can access it. But anyway, this is just a quick kind of introduction of how we normally use Photoshop in architecture, right? So you see the image on the left and on the right. So the image on the right, how would you describe the changes, the differences in this image? Anybody? Any takers?
Sir, they fixed the parallel distortion from the camera after taking a picture.
Okay, so that whole idea of perspective. So let me ask you, those of you who prefer the image on the left, give me a thumbs up. On the left, okay. Those who prefer the image on the right. One. So what this would indicate is that most of us prefer the image on the right. Why is that so? Anybody have an idea? How would you say that it has less distortion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is actually one of the many elements of design. You perhaps did elements of design with Miss West Martin, but when you go into the world of digital design, elements of design it carries through just the same. So on the right, all our verticals are aligned. The image just feels more organized. You get me? And some photographers, when they go on site, they would strive to take the picture exactly like that. They would take like pictures that are appropriately positioned. Everybody remember rule of thirds? You did rule of thirds in first year? Oh, some people are like, what is he talking about? Rule of thirds? I don't know what that is. Okay. All right. Well, no problem. We'll eventually touch it as we go through computing. But at the end of the day, Photoshop allows us to edit images, manipulate them to let them look nicer, more enhanced. And sometimes some things that you weren't able to do on the spot with the camera, we can do it with Photoshop. So for example, Photoshop was used to straighten this image. What about these two images here? I think I do have the files. Yes, I do have the files. So using this very same image, let's see. Aha, I can zoom. Can you see that? Is that believable to you guys?
No, sir.
Nah, it's not believable. Like if I didn't show you the one on the left and just the one on the right, would it be believable?
No.
Aha. But I'm sure you've seen images that have been photoshopped before and you say, well, okay, I don't know if that's real or not. So the idea is that there are certain rules by which reality operates by, and people who understand these rules, they can make awesome awesome movies like Avengers look so real, or they can show you images that look spot on. And some of those rules aren't necessarily being adhered here, but it's a start. So for example, the Photoshop would allow us to manipulate reality. For example, now we can add rain. We add some reflections on the ground. We added a person. This person don't necessarily look like they're getting wet, but you know, at least we found a picture of somebody who looks like they're about to cover up from the rain. And if we look in, I can show you these images right off the bat. All right, so well, let's use Windows Image Viewer, which will give me a little bit more flexibility. All right, so come on, pop up. Okay, whenever you decide to pop up. So this is the image of the clouds. This is the image of the person. And notice that this type of file, when it does decide to come up, come on, why are you not opening? Okay. Yep. Computers, that's what they do. They mess up from time to time. Such is the world of computers. All right, let's jump back to that picture real quick. No. This one. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. So this is that person there. And obviously with Photoshop, we were able to cut them out and to place them in the image. Come on. Right. We're able to place them in the image. Then this other element here is the light, and that light was also placed in the image. And the end result of what we got is what we're seeing here. Maximize that. So there's the person down here. There's the light that was placed here, some effects there, and then the rain. The image was straightened and so forth. So we're going to do some of that today. But I want to show you some interesting things with Photoshop. Let's look on this image. All right. So that's a pretty, maybe more believable image, but we might say it's not fully real, right? And the interesting thing about this image was actually from this website that you see here. So this was actually a project. This is from 3D ArcShop. And this entire image is what you call a montage. So every element that you see here is actually different individual Photoshop elements, right? So I'm opening the file. I'm going to show you that in just a bit. While the file opens, let's look at this image here, this interesting one. And if you will open this. Ah, good. Now you open. Okay. So we have this image. And we have this image. And you can see those two images, right? So this is actually taken with a cell phone. Ever notice when you turn a cell phone vertically, you can get some nice sky versus when you turn it horizontal. So in order to capture the lovely sky in this shot, two pictures were taken of this area, right? And this is actually almost like in the water. At the time, a couple of years ago when I went on this site, but without a program like Photoshop, you wouldn't be able to really put these two images together. You can see where them overlap, right? So it's kind of like that. Everybody can see that? So, oops. There we go. So Photoshop allows us to now merge this together. Now, the only other way that we could get this is if we actually had a physical camera that could take that resolution with that lens. So Photoshop will allow us who really can't afford that really expensive $5,000 US camera to do some of those effects in the program, right? So remember this image that we saw, that's this one here, right? So I downloaded the working file for this project, right? Which they don't really give out for free. It's because I have an account here. I always show this as an example. So this is Photoshop that we're going to be using today. But I want to give you just an example of all of these are layers of different elements that made up this image. So if I switch all of these off, turn off that. And what I'm doing is I'm just going through and I'm turning off these individual layers. All of them. There we go. All of them. And we could essentially strip down the image to that. And this was a render. And a background. There we go. And some sky detail there. And then everything else were actually objects. So here is the lawn here that was cut out. And you can actually see that in the layer here. I won't go into like the technicalities of how they did it. We're going to touch it a bit. And a lot of this is just lighting. So notice when I turn on this layer, nothing has really changed, but you notice you get some shimmering here. So it looks a bit more real. And if I go through and turn on these individual layers, like look at this one, that's just the fog. Don't know if you can see the fog in the background. There we go. There we go, some fog. Let's see. Then there's this tree that comes in on the right. Then the water, that's actually just a picture of water. All right, that's actually the water there. And if I go more, this is the deck there, and I'm just gonna continue turning on some layers, trees, more trees. And each of these are actually just cutouts from different elements. Look at that bridge. So here's the bridge here. Let's just pop it in. Then look, they wanted to put a tree behind the bridge. So turn on this layer, and there it is. And, you know, I could move that around. And let's turn these on. And you can see how this scene is built up, right? You get the gist. So that is one other use of Photoshop where we can composite images together. And those are some examples of some of the ways that we do it in architecture. Remember this image here, right? Right, the before and the after. So we use Photoshop a lot to do stuff like that. Now, let's wrap up our presentation so we can dive into Photoshop a bit. We use Photoshop to enhance images. Anybody can tell me, this is Nate, by the way, when he was 4. This is my son. So a nice candid picture we took somewhere in Clarendon, you know, some, you know, bush, rural area, right? And, you know, one was the original and one was the enhanced. Can you guys tell me?
Someone is asking if you could look at it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I just allow them in. Okay. Anybody can volunteer. What do you see are the differences between these two?
The
clouds.
The clouds, okay, that's the most prominent thing. So the clouds are in. Anybody else?
It's a bit of color adjustment.
Right, take out the light. The light wire, so that thing, yeah, that.
Okay, the light wire is removed, right?
Sure, your skin looks different, like it is enhanced.
Enhanced, okay. The word, okay. So the word will be color corrected, right? That's what we call it.
That's the
All
word.
right, cool. All right, what else?
The road. The sky in the road.
The road, okay, good, good. Waiting on one more.
The sky in the background.
Yeah, man, we said the sky.
So the grass.
Grass, okay, so this section here, the grass was like extended, right? And who notices the lens flare?
What is that?
Lens flare, you get that effect when you have a camera.
I did a lens flare like right
from
above
the-
his head.
Right.
It has like a sheen on its face.
So what happens is that in Photoshop, your subtlest effects are usually the greatest. So remember the image that I showed you before, which was, which one was it? It was this one. Nope, not that one. That one. Nope. And we were saying, okay, that definitely looks fake. And one of the reasons why it looks fake is because there's just so much that's added to it. So the small additions that you put onto an image in Photoshop is the more believable it will become, right? So that will become something important to you as we do the first exercise. Let's go through. All right, so this is a quick intro. What we are going to be tackling today, I have so much other examples to show you, but let's not spend the time on the examples. Let's get our hands dirty, so to speak. So if you go on the website and you look under exercise 1, that is this button here, You press that, this window will come up. That's the handout on your left. And what we're going to be doing today is combining these 3 assets together, right? And what we want to achieve is, I did this already, so I should have it here somewhere. Right, so we want to take this shot, right? Anybody can tell me where this is? What buildings are these?
The downtown, man.
Downtown, man.
All right, cool. What's
No one did.
okay, so this one, which one, what is it? What's the building?
Scotia. That's Scotia, and the other one is Digital down at Waterfront.
Okay, you got
The Grace Building.
Bank of Jamaica, that man.
all right, good. So you got it right. I want to be, if I could, I would love to give out some virtual money for persons who get questions right. This virtual money cannot be spent.
Sir, me can send a
PayPal.
account.
PayPal.
Transfer.
So yes, you are correct. But hold on. You're not finished yet. What about this building that's here? What building is that?
Grace Kennedy.
Nope.
The lottery building.
Lottery building.
KPMG, I think.
I don't know if that's an office inside that building, but that building has a name. Come on, architecture students. All right, so we will leave that one out. Perhaps while we work on it in Photoshop, it will dawn on somebody and they will say, oh, it's that building. All right, let's see who will win that virtual money. In the meantime, so we're going to be turning this and we're going to be adding some effects in it to get this. So who can start telling me the differences they notice? I'm going to just, let's put them side by side so we can start picking it up. So this is the original image. No, this is the exercise one. This is the enhanced image, and this is the original image, right? Everybody know in Windows 10 you can just drag this on the left and choose an image on the right, so you get a left and right image, right? Everybody knows this?
Nope.
Okay, so you just drag on a window all the way on the left and it will be docked left, right? All right, so what are the differences with this image?
Sky.
Okay,
Sky.
the sky is different.
Car.
Definitely the car.
And the
Cars added. The rocks are enhanced.
Let me kind of zoom out to the full picture. The what is enhanced?
The rocks.
I think it's
The whole image looks brighter.
It's like, yeah, it's brighter.
Clearer.
So the image is color corrected, right? All right, cool. Okay, so the sky, the car, there's some other fancy footwork that's happening here as well with the car. What do we notice here?
The car looks like it's moving.
Yeah,
The reflection of the car is there.
Right. Which ties in rainy. So it's, I like how you describe it as bad. So you guys are going to achieve this badness, right?
We'll try to.
Right? And then I will grade you and tell you how bad you were, right? Cool? This is the good bad we're talking about, right? Not the bad.
A bad.
All right, so let's get started. So the hand is on your left and the files we're going to use is on your right.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, question.
I'm unable to get the video for the exercise one. I don't know why.
You're unable to get the video?
No. like I have this one, correct?
Yeah. When you mean the
But it's not
files?
coming out in PDF form. I can get
Oh,
that.
I understand. I understand. Okay. Yes, that is attributed to my bad website design. It doesn't really fit on some of your screens. But guess what? I'm going to just paste this link. Actually, I can just edit the site. You guys are going to be building your own sites, you know, so might as well you see a bit of what that is like. So yeah, apparently this is too much to the right. So if you have like a certain resolution, you can't see the handout. Now there's this little button here, that button here. You can click that and it will just maximize the handout to the entire screen. Right, so that is one option. That's this little button here.
Sir, excuse me. What if we can see the handout, but we
That
can't?
was the button that I used before. So I'm not seeing that button now.
Oh, you're not seeing it now?
No, sir. Because I went on the site where and that button was there, but now it's not there.
You close this and open it back, and it's not. And this isn't there. Oh, probably it has something to do with the PDF viewer. All right, that is no worries. There is a link. Can you see this area on the right? You can also just click this file, which is the same file being previewed.
No, sir, it's not.
It's too
I'm not
far
seeing
over
that.
to the right. Okay, all right, no problem. I'm just gonna manipulate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna manipulate that for you. This is called the back end of the site. This is where I design the site. You guys will be doing stuff like this as well, but not not so complicated. It will be much simpler. What I'm gonna do for you guys now is, what's this called now? This is DDM exercise 1, and it's too far on the right, so I'm gonna move it over. Come on. Tell me I can move it. Okay, good. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da. Come on, you silly thing. Why are you not moving? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Probably that's why it's over there, because it doesn't want to be moved. Okay. All right, fine. Just gonna shift this over here and all right, there we go. You actually edit this in a browser. Sometimes it can be annoying because the browser is a bit slow. All right, good. Now what I want you to try doing in just a bit, if this thing would allow me to. You really just want to give me trouble. Okay, all right, fine. Publish. Okay, so refresh the website now. Refresh the website and tell me if you can see it better. So you're able to see this part on the left, which has the exercise file. So that is going to be important as well. I want to make sure that you can see everything. I can also post this somewhere else. Everybody can see both the handout and the exercise files on the right. Who cannot see it? If you're using a cell phone, it's not going to show up properly. That is for sure. The screen is just too small and it's just not the appropriate way to view this site. Okay, so we can continue moving then, I suspect.
Sir, it can move my laptop to under its side.
You're not seeing it?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. All right, no problemo. Ba-da-ba-da. No problem. Here's what I'm gonna do. You see the unit 2 area that you see here? Everybody seen the unit 2 area? So this is when you scroll down in the site.
Oh, no, I'm seeing it.
Oh, you're seeing it now? Okay, all right, good. Yeah, because you had to refresh. Yes, you had to refresh. You had to refresh. Okay, good. All right, great. So let us continue moving. Now, here is the thing, guys. So the exercise file is located on the right. That thing marked exercise files. When you click it, it will open up in its Google Drive. So here is a picture of downtown. This is actually, this link here is the Flickr link. It's actually the link to the photographer who took these pictures because he has some other lovely pictures. You guys can check that out another time. And here is the car that we're going to use. So I want you guys to download these assets by just clicking on them. And you can just right click and choose download. Good. So we're going to open up Photoshop now. Oh boy. All right, everybody has opened Photoshop. So I'm going to close this file. So when you open your Photoshop, for some of you, it might look like this. It might look like this. And for some of you, it might be kind of just a bit more old school. So it might be more like this. And it will just be a blank screen. All right. Now, so Photoshop is a program that deals with what we call pixels, right? I'm sure most of us has heard the word pixel before. We're going to be looking a little bit into what a pixel is, but that's going to be in the lecture session. So stay tuned for that next class. We're going to go in Photoshop, we're going to go over to File. And we're going to go to New Document. And this is you should see this pop up on your screen, right? Remember, if I go too fast and go ahead, remember we'll have a video of this, yeah?
Question. So
I'm unable to copy picture.
You're unable to download it?
Yes, sir. It's not copied, it's not downloading. And I try to open it in document and the picture is going in the document.
When you try to download it first, I have the same problem.
Meaning what? So when you click on it and you see the image come up like this, you can double click it and you actually are able to view the image. And then there's a download icon here.
Or you can right click it.
Or you can right click it and choose download. You're not getting any of those options?
Sir, I'm joining in with my
No,
phone. You
sir.
can let me into the meeting, please.
Okay. Okay, for
I'm
the
not getting any of those options.
okay, so here's what you do. Kimon, you can share your screen with me. Can yes, yes you can. But hold on. I am sharing mine, so I think I have to stop my try and share yours and tell me if it works. Oh, she got disconnected. No. Oh, come on. Right. Can you share your screen with me?
Yeah.
No, not via video, but like using Zoom.
Okay.
Let me stop my share.
I'm not able to log with the phone now. It says cannot start screen share while another participant is sharing.
Ah, I got you. Yeah, I figured. Okay, share now.
Sir, can you let me into the
Yes,
chat, please?
I
I'll
am
get on now.
letting you in.
Yes, sir. Me too.
All of you. I'm letting all of you in. All right, come on. Share your screen now. Let me see what that looks like.
Actually have Zoom on my phone and actually have the PDF on the laptop. I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to be sharing.
Oh, okay, right. So you're using the Zoom on your phone. Okay, all right, all right, cool. We'll do that another time. But in the meantime, you say you're not able to download the file. Here's what I'll do. I'm just gonna drop that link in the chat right there, so I can actually just put the link to the folder directly in the chat. Oh, but hold on, you have Zoom on your phone. You don't have it on your, so you don't have the Zoom chat on your computer. No problem. I'm gonna put the link in the chat and somebody WhatsApp it to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So somebody, can you just volunteer to put? I'm gonna that link. That is a link directly to the folder. The website goes to that folder as well. All right. So you can just WhatsApp that to Kemoy real quick. All right. Let me go back to my.
Never mind. I just got the code.
Okay, okay, good. All right, I'm gonna go back to my share screen now, and I'm gonna just switch there. And am I back? Yes, I am back. Okay, good. Okay, so we were in Photoshop, and we open a new document. This is what it should look like. So preferably, we're gonna name this exercise 1. Preferably. We're going to keep the document type as paper, and we're going to keep the size as letter, and letter size should be here. We're going to leave the resolution at the default. We're going to talk about a couple of these things.
Hold on, sir. Can you let me in on the phone, please?
Sir, hold on.
Yes, sir, can you let me in as well?
Okay, whenever you pop up, I'll let you in.
Tracy, come on, you want us?
Zoom in.
Can you please name yourself properly, sir? So when
White.
as soon as it logs in, just change your name so that, remember that for me to grade the attendance, I need to know who is Galaxy J. Cool? All
Sir,
right.
could you on your screen, please?
Can I do what?
Could you zoom in?
Okay. What? Okay. You fell out? Okay. All right. So until she comes back. Okay.
The meeting ID is 351-492-2949.
The meeting ID?
Yes.
Let me.
No, Kimon, that's the old one.
Probably the old one.
A new one.
Wait, what's this ID?
Use the link in our group.
I'm gonna.
The one where you send Denzel?
Yeah.
And it's also in your email as well.
Sure, my phone and my laptop. My phone no take no email, but I don't know why.
All right, I'm gonna also paste it in the chat as well.
Sir,
Okay, that's the meeting code and ID in the chat. All right. Okay, so we have to keep it moving, guys. Right. Remember, by the end of this class, you need to know what to do so you can hand in your stuff. All right. So, which you.
So let's go over what it's saying.
I went to File and I went to New. This dialog box came up for me to choose a page size. I'm going to make sure that it's on US paper, make sure it's on letter size, and I will just choose OK. All right. Now, when we get to the latter part of this tutorial, you probably won't be able to follow me one-to-one. I'll probably have to demonstrate what you must do, and then you do it, because some of the things might take you longer than other persons. Okay. So that is how we're going to tackle this thing. All right. So once the page open up, it should look like this. Photoshop, how Photoshop works is one Photoshop file is one page, right? And if you think about that for a bit, if you think, compare that to Word. When you have a Word document, you can have multiple pages in one Word document, right? But in Photoshop, if you want 10 pages, you need to have 10 PSD files, right? In the newer versions, they kind of addressed that, but traditionally, most persons who use Photoshop, they have one page, and you can see it set up that way. Okay, so let's talk about some quick controls. So to do that, I'm going to switch to another camera, which is, okay, good.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sure, you can go over the paper, put it on the setting up the paper space one more time, please.
Okay, so you go to File and you go to New.
New.
Okay, right.
Yes.
All right. So I've used up all 2 chances of repeating that. So we're just going to move on. And if you didn't get it, you got to check it in the video. All right.
There, question.
Right. Yep, question.
It have to be the US letter size?
Well, for this exercise, preferably. Yeah.
But what you find out, come on.
But it never give me never give me the option for letter size.
Okay, well, just put in the dimensions, which is 8.5 by 11.
Hold on. 8.5.
Let me change it again.
So there are 2 dialog boxes there when you go to New.
Yeah.
The width, 8.5.
Width, okay. 8.5. Height of 11.
And the height is 11. Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. So good. Coming to you.
for whatever reason this other thing isn't working. I will check that later. Okay, so let's continue. Now when you do that, you should have the page like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about the interface of Photoshop. So on the left, which is, let me use the arrow. So on this side, we have our menu that is there, right? And this is our tools menu. Towards the right over here, we have our panels. And all of us, Photoshop might look a little different. So if yours looks different from mine, it's fine. All right, we're going to talk about that after. And the last area, the other two areas, we have, I should erase this. We have the control panel, which is at the top here. All right, so that is this area here. I should just use this way to highlight. That's the control panel, that's there. Then towards the bottom here, we have our, usually it displays our information. So sometimes it tells us, depending on the program you're using, how much memory you're using, or it might give you this little dialog box. It tells you what size you are currently zoomed to relative to the real world size. So what this is telling me is that what I'm seeing on screen is 50% less than what the page is in real life, as if I was holding it in my hand. All right, so this gives you an idea of that. All right, so just so that we're on the same page, right, our tools menu here might vary differently depending on what version you're using, but the icons are relatively the same. Now on each tool icon, right, on our tools menu, if I zoom in a tad, just kind of zoom in here, zoom in right in.
Excuse me, sir, can you let me in?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Why didn't it pop up? Usually it pops. Oh, yes, it did pop up. Okay, yeah. Right. So on the tool menu, this is kind of big. Right. There we go. Notice that on some of these, you see this little corner element here. And what this means is that if I click and hold, oops, let's zoom out a bit. Let me take it off. Right. Let me zoom back in here. So if you click and hold, it will bring up a second menu, right? Click and hold, second menu. So everyone that you see with this little triangular thing at the corner, it means that if you click and hold, it has sub buttons there. So what you're actually looking on this tool menu here is it really has more buttons embedded within each button. Okay, and you access those other buttons by holding down on it. Now, each button does particular things. We're not going to go through every single button, but I do believe, yes, I did. There is a PDF that should be in your folder. Not the handout. There's another PDF there. That's labeled user interface. Right. And this tells you Photoshop. It tells you what each of them do. This is maybe not needed because nowadays most modern Photoshop versions, you just hover over it and it tells you, and it even gives you like this little video. But this is the, I think, 2019 and up. If you're using an earlier version, it might not give you this little fancy video that shows you what each button does. So in that case, you can just use the handout if you don't remember, or there is always Google. All right, so the main thing that we need to understand moving forward for every Photoshop program is how we manipulate it and learn about the panels. So let's learn about how we manipulate it first. Now, in terms of manipulating Photoshop, I'm going to be on the move tool. So I have this move tool highlighted here. You hold spacebar and left click to pan. Well, it's not going to pan because it has the full screen, but we'll get back to that. The other one is we hold Alt and the mouse wheel, right? So if you have a mouse, if you don't have a mouse wheel, to zoom, it is Control and plus and Control and minus. That's the shortcut to zoom, right? Or if you have a mouse with a mouse wheel, is Alt and roll the middle mouse wheel. This phone anyway. All right. Now, so that's how we move around. So here's the important part, the panels. Now these panels that are shown over here, as I said, they are different for each one of us, and you just need to understand how they work. And we're going to set up our panels so that we're all on the same page in terms of how it looks. Now to do this, what I want you to do is each of these tabs here, I want you to close out all of these panels. And to do that, I want you to drag out each of these tabs by clicking, holding, and dragging. All right, let's drag out each one of them. And I want you to close them by pressing this little X here. So we're going to end up closing out all of these panels here. So drag it out, close it, drag it out, close it. All right, so drag out that and drag out that. So at the end of this, you should end up with nothing on the right, right? Okay. All right, that should be pretty straightforward. Everybody should be there already, right? Now, Photoshop has two types of tools, right? It has pretty much your standard tools on the left. And think about your standard tools as tools that you find around the house every day. Like everybody probably has a knife, everybody has a fork, everybody has, you know, a scissors. These are all standard tools that you use to do this standard stuff. Now, the panels that you saw on the other side are specific tools. So for example, not everybody might have an multimeter in their toolkit. Maybe an electrician. Not everybody would have a scaffold that a surgeon uses, maybe just the doctor, or stethoscope. So all of these tools that I'm listing to you now are specific tools, right? Definitely not your average everyday tools. So how I like to think of it is that on the left-hand side, which is on this side here, these are all your general tools. Pretty much when you use the program, you're going to be using most of these. Now your specific tools, you only need to access the tools that you're going to use for a particular project, or else your Photoshop can end up like having like a million buttons. So what we're going to do now, we're going to open specific tools that we're going to use to get the exercise done, right? So to do that, we're going to go up to Window. It's up there. I'm going to click on Window. And in Window, what you're seeing here are the specific tools. So this would be like choosing highly specialized tools that you might want to use to do a project. So the ones that we're going to use is we're going to use layers. So I'm going to open up layers. All right, and I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to make it a little small so you can see it. So this is our layers panel. All right. Which other tools would we need? I think, Oh, we're gonna need our history panel. Let's get that up. So I've opened the history. We're gonna need our adjustments panel. And yeah, I think we can get away with that. Okay, let's open one more. Let's open our color panel. There we go. Okay, so these are all individual panels, and you know the name of the panel by seeing the title here, right? Everybody see that. Now, every one of these panels, you know, they do specific things. But before we talk about what specific things they do, it's important to note that all of these panels have a couple of things in common. So each of them have a name. Each of them have an X button on the left, so you can close them. Each of them have panel options, which is here. Everybody seen that? And each of them have a minimize button that is there. All right, just note, so every panel you open in Photoshop has these things. Now, the awesome thing with Photoshop and other Adobe products is that you can combine these in however way you want them to be. So let's say I want to put my, my adjustments panel and dock it beside my history panel. I can have it like that. So now it's tabs. Let me put the color panel beside that. And then let me put the layers panel beside that. So now I have one panel that's made up of these tabs here. And this is why every Photoshop you might see might look a little different, because people combine panels differently. Now, most definitely, you don't need to have all of these panels open. All right. I only opened 4 a while ago, and I think these are pretty much the 4 tools that we are going to use. So we're going to use the history panel, adjustments, color, and layers. All right, so we're going to dive right into the meat of the matter. We're going to be on the layers panel. So everybody should be on the layers panel. Now, while you're on the layers panel, notice that you have a layer called a background layer. And if I switch this off by clicking this little eyeball here, then, oops. Hold on. Before you click the eyeball, you have to unlock it. That lock button that you see there. So that layer is locked. So you're going to unlock it by clicking this unlock icon here. And when you do that, you're able to switch it on and off. Now, when you switch the layer off, notice what you see happening on your main artboard. No, canvas. That's what they call it in Photoshop. Everybody see these little squares on your canvas, right? So whenever you see squares anywhere in your graphic life, normally checkered squares represent what you call transparency. If you've ever done a Google search, right? So let me just bring up, oops.
Sir, my page doesn't want to unlock.
Remember the unlock button, it's okay.
Same, sir. Mine is not unlocking as well.
Not unlocking.
Sir, I have the same issue.
Okay, so the lock and unlock button should be here. I think all versions of Photoshop has it here.
Sir, I see the button there, but it don't want to unlock.
It's not clicking.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Hit the eye first.
No, you have to unlock it before you click the eye. So can you click here then instead of up there? Are you able to unlock it here?
That lock don't want unlock either, sir.
Sir, you can double click it and then press OK.
Oh, well, yeah, that's another. Oh, so probably in that version of Photoshop, that's how they locked it. Okay, all right, that can work too. But I believe.
You want to repeat that, please?
No. Hear
That
what?
did work. Just double click it.
No,
And
don't double click it, because that might be different for different people depending on where you double click. What I want you to do is instead right click it. And when you right click it, just choose where layer, where is it? You should get layer from group. You see, that is different for me than it is for you.
I see layer from background.
Right. So you're getting that, but I'm not getting that. So you choose layer from background for you. It's just because of the different version. And that will.
That opens a new dialog box.
Yeah, just choose okay.
About the new layer. Okay.
Yeah, just choose okay.
Mine says layer 0.
That's okay. Just choose okay. Let's choose okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
So now it becomes a regular layer. Right. Right.
Thank you.
Cool. And you can turn it on and off. Now, when you turn this white page or layer, or call it white paint, off, you see these checkers. And what I wanted to show you guys is, if you've ever done an image search, and I'm sure we have all done image searches on Google, and we type, I don't know, give me something to search for. Okay, puppy, right? Picture. And when you type a puppy picture, you say, oh, this is nice, but we usually want to go for this, the one that has a white background, so we can put it on our sheet and in our projects and so forth. So I don't know if someone will notice, but some of us might want to type puppy, and then we type transparent picture. And notice that in the graphic world, people represent transparency with these same checkered boxes. Everybody seen that? And what this would mean for you is that if you carry this into your program, then wherever you see checkered boxes, it would be transparent. So I just bring that up to say that, you know, notice that Photoshop has the same checkered boxes here. So this is telling you that if there was an image here.
For the disruption,
Yeah,
my background is still.
Your layer not turning off?
Huh?
What was that?
I said that my background is still locked.
Oh, even when you right click and you choose layer from background? Oops.
You break it.
You right clicked it and choose layer from background? Ignore this, what I'm doing. So,
okay.
Right.
And this is no.
Good. Just choose okay. That's fine. Just choose okay. Just choose okay. All right. It's just asking you to name the layer, which we will look at. Yeah, just choose okay now, where it's on that dialog box. All right. So notice that. So that's what I wanted to show you there. Now, and that is how your layers tab works. And we're going to see a little bit more of how it works. While we're doing that, I want you to keep an eye on this tab up here. That tab will now become important, because notice that if I change buttons, like if I click on this other button here, that's called a lasso tool, notice it changes up there. If I click on the brush tool, it changes again. So every tool that you click on, these buttons up the top will adjust depending on the tool that you select. So that is important because that varies with Adobe products. So for example, if I click on the move tool, then these are options related to the move tool. If I click on the crop tool, then these are options related to the crop tool, and so forth and so forth. Okay, so with that said, what I want us to do now is I want us to rotate, I want us to rotate the canvas. And in order to do that, I want you to go to image rotation, and then clockwise rotation of canvas. So we should end up with that.
Excuse me, sir. Can you repeat that, please?
Right, so we go to image, image rotation, and 90-degree rotation. All right, let me make that a little bit bigger.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Right, and so when you do that, this is rotated. And then what I want you to do, I want you to bring up the folder that you downloaded the image to. So in my computer, on my computer, when I go into the exercise 1 folder, so you guys would have downloaded the images on your computer. So wherever you downloaded it to, you're going to go to that folder and you're going to drag the image that's called Downtown Kingston. By the way, you guys haven't told me the name of that third building. Who will win that prize?
Sir, are you going to give actual money?
Unfortunately, no. But I am giving out motivation, and you will receive happiness from figuring out what building that is, right?
Okay. I heard you.
Okay, so we're gonna drag out that image onto our canvas and it should pop in like that. Now when it comes in, you're gonna click the OK button up top right here.
Excuse me, sir. I've done all of that, but my background isn't completely white. It still has the checkers on.
Oh, okay, that's okay, I guess. I mean, you can turn it on and off. Doesn't really
Oh,
matter.
okay. All right.
You can leave it on.
Sir, it came up small on my background.
Repeat.
You said after
It
you
came
drag
up
it?
small on my background.
Oh, meaning it didn't take out the full screen. That's okay. Choose OK up the top, and we are going to maximize that.
Oh, sir, that building is a new building that did the other day with the lights around it.
Sir, you're Jamaica.
Oh, and we have a winner. It is the Air Jamaica building, not the new building. All right.
Google it.
You never Google it. Me sit down and me meditate and say, what did they so? And oops, Air Jamaica.
I don't know if you notice, you know?
Just zoom in, you know.
Right. I know you did. If that palm tree wasn't there, then you know, you would have known it from a long time. Yes.
God bless Photoshop.
All right. So if your version came in small, depending on the version of Photoshop you have, right? If you have the 2019 and 2020, then it should come in full screen, I think. If you have an older version, it didn't come in full screen, then what you do, you hold shift because you don't want to skew the image. So I want you to hold shift and make it larger, right? You should never skew an image, so make sure that you hold the ratio and just extend it to the extent of the screen. If it is a little bigger, it doesn't matter. Notice that when the image gets larger, Photoshop doesn't show that overlap. You can see that it overlaps there, but that's okay. Notice
So
that,
you said hold shift?
yes, if you're using earlier than 20 CC 20, I think, you know what? If it's earlier than 2018, hold shift. The other versions afterwards, you don't have to hold shift. It would just keep its ratio. But in the previous version of Photoshop, you have to hold shift so that when you enlarge it, it doesn't squash or stretch it. Notice everything you do in Photoshop, you have to click this OK button at the top before you can do anything else, right? So when you move something, you're gonna click OK.
I didn't see an OK happen.
You didn't? You just made it bigger?
No, sir. And when you said hold shift, you mean the shift on the keyboard, or
Yep.
is a different
Shift on the keyboard.
and that's not doing anything? Like, you're gonna give up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Right. So some of the versions of Photoshop, you need to enable these gizmos. I call them gizmos. So you see, like how you see these things where you can expand. Some Photoshops have them disabled by default. So let's say that it's disabled. Actually, right. So in mine, it will be there, but in yours, you might not have these little things here to adjust the size. So what you need to do is go over to the Move tool. You need to click the Move tool, and up the top on the control bar for the Move tool, make sure you check this button that says Show Transform Controls. All right? You have to be on the Move tool, and then you click Show Transform Controls, and that will show you the controls for the here. And
Yes, sir, I see.
and now you can move
I
it.
know you say to click the shift.
Yeah, this is so that you don't skew it. So, you know, you don't want to end up with an image like that, most definitely, right? So you want to make sure that you don't skew it. Okay, now in some, traditionally, Photoshop has been the one program that doesn't have a undo as such. In the earlier Photoshop, when you do Control Z, it only undo one step. And if you do Control Z again, it redo. Right? So some people found that weird. But in the past, most persons used to use the History tab. Remember that panel? So I want you to open your History panel and notice everything that you have done so far to the file is listed here. So essentially, if you want to undo, you just pick an earlier position, you know, and you can basically go all the way back. The default is that it will store 50 history.
The next problem, it looks like mine looks blurry as well.
The image looks blurry?
Yes, sir.
That's okay, I guess. It should be okay. It's all right.
Like super blurry.
Super blurry.
Zoom in and see if it looks clear.
Yeah, because it depending on this is your graphics driver and specs, it might preview the image in a different way. But it shouldn't be super blurry, if anything. So when you say super, if you say blurry, you know, it might happen, but super blurry means that it's very blurry, right?
Yes, sir, it's very blurry.
Sir, you said that we should go, when we go history, we're supposed to be looking for free transform.
For some versions of Photoshop, if you are not getting the adjustment gizmos here, then you need to enable Show Transform Controls in the Move tool.
Okay.
All right. All right. Another reason why it might be blurry is if you don't click the OK button. So when you drag the image into Photoshop, you have to check that OK button at the top.
Okay.
Right. So you drag it in.
It's far less blurry now.
Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Coming to you, coming to you. Now okay, now by default, I believe most versions of Photoshop should have when you drag in the picture initially, you notice you see this X across the screen. Additionally, let's go in the layers panel. Notice now you see two things in your layers panel. You see that background that you had earlier, right? And most of us, we converted it to a layer. We right click it and choose layer from background, and now it's a layer. And now we see the downtown Kingston image as well. So if we turn off this eyeball beside downtown, that layer turns off. And if we turn off the background, that also turns off, right? That's pretty straightforward, right? So it's like we have two sheets on top of each other, right? And we might have a background layer and a top layer.
Sir, what if when I was trying to open the image, it was not dragging and I guess, inserted it onto layer 0?
Right. If it's, for whatever reason, it's not dragging, then you would go to place. Depending on the version of Photoshop, you might see place linked or paste embedded, right? Or some of us, you might just see place alone. If you are getting these options,
Open and it's now on layer 0. So is that okay, or should
no,
I?
that is not okay. When you're using Photoshop, the best practice is for you to set up your sheet size first, and then you place your content on your sheet, rather than opening the content directly.
No, it's on layer 0.
Yeah, but you're supposed to have two layers. Remember, you open Photoshop first. It has a background layer. And then you are supposed to add a layer on top of that layer, which is the image. Right? So so you don't want to go to open and then open the image directly. Instead, you want to open a blank page.
So how do I remove the image from layer 0?
Just ignore it. Just open a new Photoshop file. All right, you're going to open a new Photoshop file. Okay, now when you have this up now, and a while ago I spoke about layers. So in our layers tab, so far we've used our history tab, and we have used, oops, what did I do? I closed it. Okay, remember to mute your devices. Good. So far we have our history tab and our layers tab. We know what the layers tab does. Basically, it keeps track of all the different graphic elements that we add into Photoshop. All right, so now what we're going to do is I want us to move the image. So we're going to use the move tool. That's this tool here. We're going to use the move tool. Make sure we have show transform there. And make sure that layer is selected here. And we're going to put that at the bottom of our page.
Sir, I think I got lost a while ago with the
Basically, we're
whole.
just moving the image to the bottom of it.
I wasn't able to drag my image either.
Right. So if you're not able to drag the image, then you're going to go to File. You're going to go to Place. If you have two place options, you're going to go to Place Embedded. And then when you do that,
Sure, that's for what?
you can browse for the file.
Okay.
Sure, that's for what? The second image?
No, this is for those who, for whatever reason, it's not dragging. Right. If it's not dragging, you can place it. All right. All right. So we're going to move the image towards the bottom of the page. And here is another important fact that we're going to keep an eye on. Now, if you look on this layer here, right? Everybody can see this layer. This layer has this interesting little button that's here. I need to like draw an arrow there or something, right? Let me just get an arrow in there, right? So right on the corner there, everybody seen that little symbol?
Yes, sir.
So this symbol means that this layer is what you call a smart object. And how that works, you will see the benefit of it later on. But just,
I'm not seeing that.
you don't see that little symbol on your layer icon?
No, sir.
No? Okay. If you're not seeing it, all right. If you're not seeing it, just drag back your image. Go to File and go to Place. All right, I should just make everybody place. Just delete that layer. Delete it by just clicking on it and press delete or press the trash can. And then you now go to File and go to Place. And it will come back in. Now, what that little symbol means is that when you have an image, so for example, let's say you have an image and before you put it on Photoshop, Photoshop kind of puts it in this container and then it puts it on your canvas sheet, right? So this container here is, it's kind of like a way that Photoshop can preserve the quality of your image, right? So why I say that is you can't manipulate this image. So for example, if I go for my eraser tool, which is here, all right? That's my eraser tool there. And I try to erase the image. It's going to give me an error message. So it's like Photoshop, for smart layers, you can't manipulate it. So that's important to note. So when you drag an image into Photoshop or you place it, it will come as a smart layer. And you can move the layer around, you can resize it, but you can't like edit the pixels of that layer. Okay? Yeah, you had a question?
Yes, sir. I got an error message when I played the image. It said could not place the document because I said the image a document in order to access using it. It says could not place the document because no parser or format can open file.
Hold on, you sure you choose the JPEG? When you go to Place, when you go to File, and you go to Place, and then you choose the downtown JPEG. And when you choose that, it gives you an error message. It just doesn't place it on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just drag it there for now. Just drag it onto your screen and use that for now. All right, now,
Okay.
the first thing that we need to do is to replace the sky. And remember, I tell you how it's a smart layer. It's a smart layer, so you are unable to edit it because it's a smart layer. So if I use my eraser tool, so if I use the eraser tool, it's going to tell me that it can't erase. So what all of you guys need to do, this is an important step. I want you to right click it and choose rasterize layer. Now, once you do that, notice that that little icon is gone. And this means that your image is now exposed, meaning you can manipulate it. You can erase it. You can mark it up. You can actually mess up the image now. So what I want you guys to do is to grab your eraser tool. And when you go to the eraser tool, your eraser tool is this tool here. It might look slightly different in different versions. Once you click on the eraser tool, I want you to take a look up top for where you have your brush size. That's here.
Excuse me, sir. I don't see the rasterize image option. I don't see it come up at all.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Oh, that means it's already rasterized. When you right click this, you don't see rasterize option.
No, I just see blending options. My thing isn't that long as yours. It only have thumbnails and no color.
Okay.
Nicole, you should try right clicking on the word and not the actual picture, and maybe.
Oh, that's why. Oh,
yeah, it works, sir.
Yeah, man, come up on it. Yeah.
Good one. That is a good one. Thank you very much. All right, now as soon as you do that, we're gonna go for our eraser tool, but before we start erasing, I want us to bring up our brush options, right? Our brush options is here. Remember, this bar at the top will only come up if we select the appropriate tool. So we're gonna select the eraser tool, and then at the top, we're gonna go to the brush options. And we're gonna click the brush options, and what we want to do with it is, crap, I can't write on it. Okay, you're gonna have to just watch, okay. We want to carry the hardness all the way to 0. We want a very soft eraser. And the size, well, guess what? The size will vary, so let's not worry about the size yet. But we want to carry the hardness all the way to 0. So why would we do that? Well, if the hardness is 100 and we erase, this is what we get. It's a very hard brush. I'm gonna go to my history and undo that. Right.
So we're putting the hardness at what?
0. So we wanna put the hardness all the way at 0 so that we get a soft kind of erase like that. Now, before we start going on to erase the sky, right? This is what I want you to do. I want you to increase your brush size. And you can do it with your brush options as well. So you can go a little larger, but I want you to go like pretty large. Like notice that my brush size is, maybe that's too big. It's kind of hard to judge the size here. So I'm gonna recommend that you use a shortcut, and the shortcut is right and left square bracket on your keyboard. So if you press the right square bracket, notice that the eraser gets bigger. The left square bracket, it gets smaller, right? That is the buttons in the same row as P on your keyboard.
Sure, hold on, slow down, please.
So all I'm doing is increasing the size of my brush, and I want you guys to...
You said if I click the brackets, just them by themselves, or should we use? the other
There are two options. You can either use the brush size slider here.
Yes, but I'm
or
asking
you
about
can
the
use-
shortcut, sir.
Right, just press it by itself. Left
Okay.
square bracket or right square bracket. And then what I want you to do is to erase. Oops, what did I do?
Sir, sir,
Change something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I see you have this rectangular panel beside of the image. How do I access that?
The rectangle panel.
Sir, erase this guy.
Well, there's a technique to how I want you to erase the sky.
Daniel, look here.
Oops. I'm coming to your question.
So that's a come for? You come, camera.
I totally forgot how to read that. Why don't you allow me to read that? Because you're just dumb. A second. Oh. Coming to you. Damn it. This is obviously something with a screen. Okay. All right. All right. So what you do is you're going to use the eraser tool. And let's make sure this is down below. Right. So you're going to use the eraser tool. And you're going to erase the sky. But I want you to erase it kind of like that. So a very soft and big brush so that you kind of get this faded sky in the background like that. So try and do it like that. Remember, you're actually erasing the image. So proceed with caution. If you accidentally erase a part of the image, you can just undo.
Sir, that's what I'm asking. How do I
undo?
Undo.
Okay.
I don't know.
The Control Z.
You can use Control Z, but depending on the version of Photoshop you have, that may not work.
Photoshop.
So remember the history panel that we have here. And if you don't have the history panel open, you go to Window and you history. So the history panel shows you everything that you did from you open the file. So you just need to go back up in that list. Okay, so that's essentially undo.
Okay.
Right, so we are coming down to the end of our class, but we need to hurry up with this little last section here. This is going to take another half hour, right? And then I'm going to leave you to it. So I can't wait until everybody has done what I did, because we're pretty much up on the end of class time, right? All right, so what we're going to do is, when we have erased the sky like that, we are going to now add in the other image that we want to be the new sky. And to do that, I want you to go back to your folder, and you're going to look for the sky image, which is, what did I call it again?
More.
Full sky sunset 00. So you're gonna drag that in and it will come in just like the image. There it is. This is a very big image, by the way. And I'm giving it to you, so you're welcome. This is a nice image. If you look on the resolution at a later date, you'll see that it's quite big. All right, so what I want us to do when
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Sir,
you're dragging in the next image.
sir, in the file that you gave us, there's only the car and the downtown image.
Yeah, there is error for the third thing that is supposed to be a file, I guess.
So you don't see the sky?
No, I see something
Okay.
said Lechmore Sims.
No,
Go
no,
back
no, not
to the
that. Not this,
website and go in the file. That's what I just had to do.
I see downtown Kingston. I see Vector Supercars.
I got you. I got
Yeah, guys, go back to the website and click on the class files again. That's what I just had to do to find it. Can't even see it first either. Okay.
All right. Yeah, man, it's there. Full skies. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sir, so we drag that in.
Yep, just like how you dragged in the picture of downtown.
Sir, I still don't see it now. Just download it back.
I don't see it
You
either.
don't see it either. Okay, no problem. Here's what I'll do. I'll just paste the link directly in the chat.
Excuse me, sir. What settings do you have on the eraser?
Okay, on the eraser, let me hide this layer. On the eraser, when I went to the eraser, I went to...
I see it now.
Oh, you see it now? Maybe you have to refresh, I'm not sure. Anyway, when I went to the eraser, I went to brush settings and I made the hardness 0. And the size, well, the size I have is 1200, but you know, you can choose a size that you want. But this is what you should end up with, like a very soft fade. All right. So if I turn off the background layer, you can see that I'm looking on the actual transparent area. I think I actually erased something by accident here. Oh my goodness. Okay, good.
There, my image not erasing.
Remember that you have to rasterize the image. Right? So when you drag in an image, Photoshop will carry it in as a smart object. That means it doesn't allow you to edit it or manipulate it. So you have to right click that layer and choose rasterize. All right, so we're gonna move forward. So
Great, rasterize what it not change.
It's not going to change. Then now you go and you erase. Make sure that you are on the downtown layer while you're erasing. Right? Whatever layer you have highlighted on the right will determine the layer that you're working on. So make sure you're on the downtown layer.
There, now erase and the brush block.
Are you sure you're on the eraser tool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to color and change it to white.
It's a spotlight. Spot. Oh, erase. All right.
All right. So what I want you to do now is drag in the sky, and you're going to choose OK, just like before. Then when it's in, what you're going to do is you're going to make it larger. So if I zoom out, you remember how to zoom? Hold Alt and mouse wheel. For those of you who are keyboard shortcut fanatics, you hold Control and plus or minus to zoom. So I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to make this image pretty large. Don't skew it, just make it large. So I'm actually making it much bigger than the screen. I'm going to choose an area that looks nice, and I'm going to just line it up like that and choose OK. Then, I know I'm speeding up, but then we're going to rearrange our layers. And what that means is that we want to put this layer behind this layer, right? So we're gonna do that by dragging the layer that we just carried in called Full Skies. And we're gonna put that below by dragging below the Downtown Kingston layer.
Excuse me, sir. File format are we supposed to upload in?
JPEG.
JPEG. So export it, don't upload it as a PSD.
No, definitely not. I don't
Right.
want those big files. Okay, so you should basically end up with something like this. So you can see now that the sky has changed.
Sir, could go over the placing behind, please.
Okay, so the first thing I did was to erase the sky using the eraser tool. Then I drag in the background from the folder that you have it in, wherever you downloaded it. Remember to choose OK up top. And then I made the background much larger. So I zoom out and made the background larger and position the background, you know, in a suitable position. And then I reordered the way how the layers are. So right now the sky is on top of everything. So I put the sky behind the downtown layer by dragging it. And the areas that are erased now becomes the sky.
But sir, you should just click on it and drag it, right?
Yeah, to drag it down. That's why
Not moving.
Thank you.
you're not, when you try to move the layers, it's not moving for you.
Yes, I'm clicking and
drag the
Click and hold.
one.
Click, hold, and drag. Click on the word and drag it.
dragging. Not moving, sir.
You see when you drag it, you should see like this blue line. You see that blue line that kind of tells you where you're dragging it to. So
It's just not moving any at all, sir.
Oh, you probably didn't choose OK at the top. Remember, everything you do, you have to tick yes at the top.
Oh, sorry.
That's how Photoshop protects you from, you know, messing up stuff. It tells you to confirm everything. All right, so pretty much we have part 1 done. Now for part 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys, and I am going to put this video so that you can watch it, because I think, what time this class finish? Is that 12 or 1?
Well,
Right, and it's now 12:30, right? So this part is, you already know where most of the buttons are.
Sir, how must save it? JPEG or PSD?
JPEG.
Okay.
Sir, it's just 11:30 still.
yeah, I have a
Yes, I
question.
forget I am an hour ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fine.
And I'm here wondering, oh crap, I'm running out of time. But these students don't seem to be having a problem with going overtime. You know, usually once it go 1 minute overtime, sir, class.
How do I undo something again?
History.
Aha, thank you, Denzel. So remember the panel that we opened up called history?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I need to push ahead so that we don't go overboard in terms of time. So here comes the interesting part of this exercise, and that is to do with the car. Now, what we're going to do to get the car in, right? Remember to mute your mic, guys. We're going to do the very same thing with our car in. We are going to drag in the car. So that is what you should get. Right? So when you drag in the car, you get that. You choose OK. Please do not forget to choose the OK button. Right? If you don't choose the OK button, you're not allowed to click on anything else. So if you notice that you're not clicking on anything else, it's probably because you haven't chosen OK. So we choose the OK button. So now we have the car in. So as you probably guessed, what we need to do is to remove this white area from the car. Now, this is perhaps one of the most popular things that you'll be doing with Photoshop. You know, a lot of us put entourage in digital images. So this is the perfect program that we would use to do that. Okay, guys? Now, to remove, I'm going to show you about 3 techniques of how you can cut out images, right? You guys are with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And I'll probably show you 2 techniques. I'm going to show you a manual way that you will probably need to use in particular situations, and I'm going to show you an automated way, which is like super easy. So whenever you cut out an image in Photoshop, the modern way, so you guys are actually getting a different class than what I gave last year because things have just gotten way more modern. So to cut out images in Photoshop, you use what's called the marquee tool, right? And the lasso tool, sorry. And the lasso tool is over here. Now there are 2, categories of lasso tools, right? There is the manual kind of lasso tool that has been in Photoshop from day one. And there are different versions of that. If you click and hold, you get the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, the magnetic lasso tool, right? And then there is the more modern take on cutting out objects, right? If you have the latest version of Photoshop, then you have this object selection tool. That one is like black magic, right? If you have an earlier version, you should have the quick selection tool. And if you have one of the really old versions, you will just have the magic wand tool. So this is kind of like how Photoshop has evolved. So it has evolved into the object selection tool. That one is quite interesting. But anyway, now in order to cut out anything in Photoshop, let's look at the manual way. This is how we've usually always done it. Especially for architectural students, you guys are going to be big fans of the polygonal lasso tool. So notice for mine, it's the default. It's probably the default for yours. If it's not, I want you to click and hold and change it to polygonal lasso tool.
Sure. Oh.
Now, once you do that, I want you to, this is where we're going to need to zoom in and
Sir,
out.
I can't find that.
Okay, so it's this button here. So it's
I don't have that button.
Click and hold and change it. Maybe your button looks like that. So you need to click and hold and change it to the polygonal lasso tool.
When I click on that, it just shows me lasso tool makes freehand selections and a little video on how to do it.
Click and hold.
Click and hold. Click and hold.
Right click.
No, click and hold. Regular click. Oh, you can right click too. You can right click as well, as a matter. So you're right, yes.
Okay, found it. Right click, thanks.
Guys, again, remember you have to use your correct name when I'm marking the attendance, right? Please remember attendance is 10%. So, you know, you don't want to be marked absent on a day when you're actually there, okay? When I generate the report for this class, it's just going to show me the names that you have there, and it's just going to match the names that I have for you as registered. And if they don't match, then it's just going to say this person is not there, or it's going to highlight that there's this weird person in your class. All right, so remember, you can edit your names at any time. Okay, so let us continue. So we're selecting the polygonal lasso tool. And what we're going to do, we're going to use our zoom tool. So we're going to zoom Control plus, if you're fans of the shortcut. And then we need to pan. Now to pan, you're going to hold space bar and left click. Space bar and normal click.
So can both of them be done at the same time?
Yes. So to zoom, you hold Alt and mouse wheel. And to pan, you hold space bar and left click. Now what we're going to do is we are going to cut out a section of this car using the polygonal lasso tool. All right. So the section that we are going to cut out is going to be this section here where the light is. Let's do a little bit. CE.
Sir, it said in order to zoom, I should
Alt and middle mouse wheel.
I'm not hearing.
Alt and middle mouse wheel.
Sir, hold on there. We get kicked off a while ago, you know. Oh, go on.
Right. We choose the polygonal lasso tool and we're about to start cutting.
Sir, breaking up.
Right. So what we're going to do is, hold on. I'm trying to change an option here. Wait, workspace, edit preferences. Workspace. I'm trying to change an option here. Open documents as tabs. Why is it not docking? This stupid thing is not docking. Anyway, all right. Yeah, so we're going to cut out this part of the car here using the polygonal lasso tool. Now to use the polygonal lasso tool, you start by just clicking and you just, it's kind of straightforward. You just kind of click and you probably need to zoom a little bit. Now to zoom while you're in the lasso tool, you can use the mouse wheel, Alt and mouse wheel, yeah. But my favorite thing to do is to press plus and minus. You don't have to hold Alt, just press plus and minus and it will allow you to do this. Now, while you're cutting these things out, while you move the lasso tool, it will automatically pan the screen for you. So if I want to go up, I can just push the mouse up and it goes up, goes down. And pretty much when you're cutting out stuff, you want to cut slightly into it a little bit. You don't want to get the edge. So if you notice, you know, I'm cutting a little bit into the thing. Now you don't need to zoom all the way in. I'm just going to cut a little section of this using this tool, but you can kind of get the idea how it works. I'm going to cut around the light. So this is the manual way how to cut things out. All right, and I'm not going to cut anymore. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to.
So we should do it as well, right?
Yeah, you can do it with me, or you might want to use the other way. I'm just demonstrating both ways.
Okay.
So I'm just going to complete my cut, and I'm going to double click to end. And notice it highlights it highlights the area that I've selected. You have to complete the cut though, right? So I have to go around and end where I started. I'm just gonna hit delete. Oh crap, it's telling me that I can't delete. Who can tell me why? Why is it telling me I can't?
Did you click OK, sir?
I didn't rasterize. I have to rasterize. Remember that when you drag an image into Photoshop, it is going to put it in this protective kind of layer, prevent you from accidentally editing the image. So I'm going to rasterize it now, which will remove that layer. And now I'm able to delete. So notice how I've deleted this part of the car. And this is how you normally go about cutting something out. You would, you know, I would suggest you delete like little sections at a time. There are persons who would invest in trying to cut out everything one time and then they accidentally click something and then they have to start over again. So I don't recommend trying to cut out everything one time. You know, just kind of do it like how you do real paper. You cut out piece by
So where I find the rasterize option?
You right click the layer and choose rasterize. Make sure you right click the name, not the image on the layer.
Sir, so say click cut out a part, but it's the wrong part that I want it to leave me alone. How do I do that?
Okay, that's a good question. So you would deselect. To deselect,
Sir,
you can
I'm
just right click.
rasterize option.
Hold on, I come in. You can just right click and choose deselect. Yeah. That only happens while you're
Sir,
in
the
cutting.
option is not able to click. I'm able to.
We have to wait till we can finish hearing what him say.
Okay, what?
Huh?
I think she's having delays, so like she probably talk when she don't hear anybody talking.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead to the end so that we can, and those who get it, you can move ahead and complete it. And
Sure.
Those who don't get it, I'll try to answer your questions in the meantime. But
Could
I
you
want to make
please
sure I tell you everything before your time is up. Yeah?
repeat the deselect, how to deselect?
Right. So if I have selected something using the method, using this method, so I've selected something. In order to complete my selection, I need to double click, or I can just click where I started, anyone. But double clicking is quicker. So I have now selected this little area here. If I don't want to bother with that selection, I can just right click and choose deselect and it's gone. Cool? Shortcut is
Got
so.
it. Thank you.
All right. Now, for most of you, you might be fans of the new and improved way of selecting in Photoshop. You know that saying, if it's automated, it might not exactly do what you want. So I suggest you need to know these two ways, right? So what I showed you was the manual way. So you go in and you cut out what you don't want. Now the automated way is done using this tool here, the quick selection tool. Now, depending on the version of Photoshop you have, you should have the quick selection tool. I think it was introduced like CS6. So everybody should have that tool. Am I right? Is there anybody who is not seeing the quick selection tool? By the way, if you're not seeing the quick selection tool, then that just means you have to manually select, right?
Sir, I cannot deselect it. I'm trying to remove.
Okay, you can only deselect when something is selected. So for example, on my screen now, I have nothing selected. So if I right click, I'm not going to get the deselect option. So only if I actually select something, then I can deselect. You follow me? Does that answer you?
So what if it was not a complete polygon, but I wanted to remove it?
Oh, just press
So I
escape,
didn't
like you want to
complete,
cancel what you're doing. Oh, okay. That's
Okay,
there are two things. I'm glad you brought that up. If you are in
it's gone, sir.
of highlighting and you've made a mistake, you don't want to start over, then you can press the backspace button to go back to the last position that you clicked. Everybody seen that? So that may become very useful to you guys. Okay.
Repeat that, sir.
If you're in the middle of selecting, right? So you are using your polygonal tool and you're in the middle of selecting and you have made a mistake. Then what you do is you press the backspace button to track back. So that's another activity that you may want to do. And that happens a lot. Like I could be trying to hold on a second. Right. So if I'm in the process of trying to like intricately cut this thing and I go, oops, I made a mistake down there. I just press backspace and I'm gone back to the last point that I did. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so quickly, the other method of selecting is using what you call the quick select. So when I click select, how it works. Now notice right now, there's a plus in a circle. That's important. If I hold, what do I hold again? If I hold, where is the circle? Right, if I hold, which one of these buttons? Okay, I'll remember it eventually. But the plus in the circle means that you're adding to the selection. So let me tell you how quick select works. If, for example, I wanted to select inside of this license plate area, all I have to do is select in the middle of that area and drag. And quick select will try to estimate where the edges of that license plate is. Now notice that it didn't do such a good job. It didn't do such a good job because it's actually selecting other areas, right? Now what you do with quick select is that you hold Alt and you kind of just touch up the areas that you did not want to have selected. So let me hold Alt and let me pan, hold Alt. So notice what I'm doing. I'm actually just touching up the areas that I did not want to have selected by holding Alt and left click. And now it's selected. Let me do that again to show you guys how it works. So I've deselected. If I wanted to select inside of this license plate here using the quick select, all I would have to do is in the middle of the space, click and drag, right? This is left click. Now, quick select will try and estimate what it thinks that I want to highlight. So notice how that it has highlighted the license plate, but not in the middle. So what I have to do, I have to shave off this selection on the outside, and I do that by holding Alt. And when I hold Alt, you see the plus change to a minus. The mouse keeps jumping over here. Stop it. Right. When I hold Alt, the plus changes to a minus. You get me? And I can hold Alt, and now I can hold Alt, and now I can kind of just shave off this area here. So the minus means that it is taking selection away, and the plus means that it is adding selection. All right, so you got to practice that to get used to it, but it definitely is easier than the lasso, the polygonal lasso. So for example, all I have to do is select all the white areas and delete it. So if I just drag in the white area, you see the quick select, it's trying to determine where the edges of the car is. Everybody seen that? And in some cases, it does a good job, but in other cases like here, it's not. So in order to fix that, I have to now hold Alt and select inside here to take it out, like that. And okay, so I can just hit delete. There you go. Let me select all of this white space here. So look, the quick select selected inside here, so I don't want that. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to hold Alt and deselect. And then I'm going to delete. All right, so the choice is yours. You could actually go in and manually use the polygonal tool and trace around the car if you want. Or you could use the quick select tool and select all the white areas and delete them. Now, this will probably take you a little time. So sometimes what we do is normally take a break and I give you some time to finish. But we are almost at the end of our ride. So you do have 2 more steps remaining to get done. You do have 2 more steps. You need to put the car actually on the road. And you need to give it a reflection. Okay.
Sir, hold on. So hold on there. So we say how you touch it, how you touch up now? You have to press Alt.
Yes, you either clicking and dragging or you're holding Alt and clicking and dragging. One of the two.
Okay.
It takes a little practice, but the quick select tool is very quick, as the name suggests. All right, for those of you who have already cut out the car, what you need to do before you actually reduce the size of the car, this is important for you to know. You may or may not remember this, but it may bite you in the future. So I'm still going to tell you, even though you might forget. Now, this layer is rasterized, which means that it is, you can manipulate it. You can erase it. You can mark it up. It's not a smart object like when you first dragged it in. Now, here is the problem with rasterization. I want you to watch this example closely. If I have this car, right? You're watching closely. If I have this car and I said, oh, I want this car to be really small. And I said, okay. And then I said, oh, crap, it's too small. Let me make it bigger. And now I make it bigger again. What you notice happens?
Pixelate.
It's much more blurry. Everybody see that?
No.
Everybody notice that? That's an important thing to notice with Photoshop. Right? And this is what is called destructive editing. So what is really happening, and I'm going to undo that. I'm going to undo that by using the history. Come on, let's undo that. So what is happening is that when you made the car small, the amount of pixels that it needed to represent it, it no longer needed that amount. So let me give you an example. If I zoom in all the way in Photoshop, hold on, why am I seeing something transparent there? Oh my, no, why am I seeing that? Oh, I think I've actually erased something that I shouldn't have erased, no? Oh, it's slightly transparent, my bad. Okay, All right, so look closely. When I zoom in, notice I'm zooming into this section here, and I can zoom all the way till I actually see the pixels. Everybody see the pixels that make up the car? Everybody seen that?
Yes, sir.
So in total, if I should zoom out, it's probably maybe a couple hundred thousands of little dots that make up this entire car. But if I make the car smaller, like that, now when I zoom into the car, come on, Photoshop, stop messing about. If I zoom into the car, notice that now much less pixels make up the car. You seen that? Now, if I try to maximize this picture again, those pixels have already been lost and they cannot be regained. Hence, why it's blurry. So what does that mean for you guys? If you want to do something in Photoshop and the image is rasterized and you change the size of the image, every time you change the size, you are changing the structure and density of the pixels. Everybody understand that concept? Now, this is why Photoshop, I'm undoing now, so this is the original. Before you start messing about with the size of an image, you want to right-click and convert it to a smart object. Now, when you change it to a smart object, notice that you get back the same little icon you got when you dragged in the image in Photoshop. So this is why images that you drag in Photoshop, Photoshop makes it a smart object so that when you start to change the size and all of these things, it doesn't mess with the pixel information. So now that it's a smart object, if I make it small, you know, and I zoom into that, so yes, it's going to be blocky because it's based on the resolution of the image. Let me choose OK. But if I make it bigger again, oops, I think I squashed it a little. If I make it bigger again, then it's fine. All right, so when you guys are going to adjust sizes, you need to turn it into a smart object. But remember, the smart object doesn't allow you to erase and cut out and do all of these things. So you have to carefully know how you approach this in Photoshop. All right, so, you know, welcome to the big leagues of digital editing, right? Yeah, I know you don't have to worry about these things if you're using PowerPoint and all these things, but this is Photoshop, so this is where you put on the big boy clothes. Hey, I just realized that I didn't turn on my attractive light. Let me turn it on.
Excuse me, sir. How did you say we were supposed to remove the white background around the car after we polygon lasso it?
You can choose to use the polygonal lasso tool and remove all the white if you wish, or you can use the quick select tool to remove.
Yeah, I'm saying I have used the polygon lasso, but I don't know what step I should use to get rid of the white background.
Oh, delete it, delete.
Oh,
Let's press
okay.
delete. Let's press delete.
Okay, thank you.
Right, and make sure, remember, is whatever is selected will be deleted, you know. So if you select the car, it's going to delete the car. So if any of you selected the car, you would have needed to invert your selection. So let me tell you what that looks like. Let's say that you wanted to delete everything except this element here.
Sir.
Yeah.
How me take off the polygon thing from around the car after I done cut out the white?
Deselect.
What?
So if I select this element here, and I'm just going to do a rough selection. Actually, if I try to delete it, it's going to tell me you can't delete it because it's a smart object, right? So let me rasterize it, right? So let's say that I wanted to delete this element here, right? Now, if I hit delete, it's going to delete what's in the middle, but I could very well right click and choose select inverse, and it will delete everything else except what is inside. So remember that option. In case you have selected the car, then you don't want to delete the car. You want to select everything else around the car. So you want to invert what you've selected. But I don't recommend selecting like that. When you're cutting out, what I recommend doing is selecting individual pieces.
Sir, how me deselect it now?
Deselect can only work if you have selected something.
Right click and you see the word deselect.
Right.
Sir,
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this car into position. And we're gonna just make it smaller. Remember, you need to convert it to a smart object.
So to convert it to a smart object, you click back the rasterize thing.
Right, not this rasterize thing, but you right click, but this time you would choose convert to smart object.
Okay.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
So the deselect.
You've probably not seen it because you never click OK.
No, OK, no, there, sir.
Or you don't have something selected.
Sir, me select the car. What?
Double click.
Oh, make sure that you are on. You have to be on the lasso tool in order to deselect. So make sure that you're on the lasso tool and you're not.
They can also use the shortcut function.
Okay.
Right. Or you can use the shortcut, which is what's the shortcut? Control D. Right.
How do you make the image smaller without messing it up again?
You right click the layer and anybody remember?
Rasterize.
Make smart object. Make smart object.
Right. Right. Okay, good.
No.
Sir, something happened a while ago and the Photoshop app was closed.
I'm literally having such a hard time with these wheels and the quick select.
The quick select? Oh, all right. Yes. Well, the quick select isn't perfect, but as I say, you get used to it. You know, what you do is you select and then you hold Alt and deselect, and you kind of carve it down to what you want to see.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to put the car on the road. So what I want you guys to do is to kind of just use your architectural prowess and identify the correct scale that this car should be at. Right? It shouldn't be a gigantic car. Try and find something to kind of judge it by. So,
Sir, how far? We should put. What's more? Put it way down the road.
It's up to you, but I mean, I need to see that you have.
Master the art.
Yes. So I wouldn't put it all the way down the road. All right. Now you're gonna choose OK, and I'm gonna show you two other cool tools with Photoshop that you're gonna use quite a lot. Now the first one, if you notice, the perspective on the car is a little off, like it doesn't quite line up with how the angle of the picture was taken. Everybody noticing that?
Yes, sir.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use some skewing tools in order to fix that. So to do that, we're going to go to edit. We're going to go to transform, and then we're going to go to warp. All right, so edit, transform, and warp. Now, when we do that, oops, sorry, not warp, cancel that. It's not warp, at least not yet. We're gonna go to edit, transform, what is it called again? This basic perspective, distort. I think it's distort or skew. Distort, yes, it is distort, right. Now, what we're gonna do is we are gonna try and use again our architectural prowess, and we're gonna try and angle this car so that it looks, you know, we're gonna try and distort using the corners so that it kind of looks like, you know, it's on the road. It's a very slight tweak, so don't overdo it. And then when we're done, we're gonna choose yes.
Sure. Which one are the commands?
Distort. So you go to edit,
transform,
and go to distort.
Yeah. Then.
Right. Then a box comes around it, and you're gonna adjust the corners of the box. When you move the corners, you're gonna notice that the box distorts the image. Right. So you're gonna kind of do your best to manipulate it so it looks like it's on the road. Right. All right. Then we have come to the final step, which is the reflection. Right. And also keep an eye on your layers. So of course you have the car layer on top. You know, you can always turn that on and off. And then you have the other layers there. So, you know, keep an eye on those layers. All right. Now for the reflections, that is the nice part of this thing. You know, we want to get those reflections.
So where you say go edit, transform, and distort? Sure.
Edit, transform. Yeah, distort. Right. So you're using distort. Hey, where did my video thing go? Oh.
Sir, what if you selected the car and selected the move option, but it's not moving?
The move button, but it's not moving. Make sure that you have selected the car layer. Make sure that is
selected.
And it's not moving. Let's see. If it's not moving, that means that the layer is either locked or that means the layer is either locked or it's not the right layer selected, or you haven't selected OK at the top.
I did select okay.
Sir, I froze. After you select the car, how you get rid of the white background after you cut it out?
Delete. Just press delete.
Let's delete. Okay, that deleted the car.
Right. So you need to select everything except the car by right-clicking and choose select inverse.
Okay, sir, 1 second.
All right. Now to do the reflections, guys, what you're gonna do is you are gonna now make a duplicate of this layer. All right. So the layer that's called Vector Supercar 26. You're gonna right-click it and choose duplicate layer. Duplicate layer. So now you're gonna end up with 2 layers.
Duplicate and click OK.
Repeat that question.
I said if you should duplicate and click OK.
Yes, duplicate and click OK. Who else is here? Admit. Okay. Right. By the way, guys, as things are, I'm actually here. My son is at school. So he's at school and I'm at school from home. So from time to time, he will ask me questions. I'm monitoring his Zoom. Everybody is zooming. Zoom everywhere. I tell you. He's not looking as young as the picture that you saw, though. That was a while back. He's now 8. And that picture was about 5 or 4? Probably about 4. Yeah. Yep. It is the age of work from home. Anyways, so the layer is now duplicated. Now, what I want you guys to do is that duplicated layer, I want you to rename it. So I want you to click, double click on the name, or you can right click on rename, should be somewhere in that list. But I normally just double click on the name, make sure it's the name you double click on. And then I'm going to call this reflection. All right. So now I have 2 cars, right? Okay, so here is the tricky part. So what I want you guys to do now is to go to edit.
7 minutes more taken care of.
Say again?
I didn't see the second car pop up.
Did you duplicate your layer? So you should have 2 layers of the car.
Yes, I did.
Right, so no, it's directly over each other. I just moved it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So what you're gonna do is to go to edit and transform and go to flip vertical.
So mine is still not selecting or moving.
Okay, what's not moving? The car? You're
The
not
reflection, the car.
Let's see. So when you select the car, does a box come around it?
The box doesn't pop up around it.
Okay, so 2 things. So make sure that the layer is selected here, and then you want to make sure up here it says
show transform.
Right, controls.
Oh, okay, sir.
Make sure you have selected the right layer, because this is how Photoshop works. If I'm on the downtown layer and I try to move, then it's going to actually move the downtown layer. You follow me? Let me undo that. So you in Photoshop, you don't click on the object like you would in PowerPoint. you would click on the layer for that object. Everybody follow me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now that you have chosen the vertical flip, you're going to put that here, and then you're going to realize, whoa, okay, so it looks weird. Everybody see that it looks weird?
Sir, how you put on the vertical flip?
You go to Edit,
Yeah.
Transform, and Vertical Flip.
Vertical flip. Or flip vertical.
Yeah, or flip vertical, sorry.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah?
Can you let me back in I'm on a different device again because the phone went dead too.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yep.
Are you having another class of this, right?
At 4.
At 4.
Right. So if you did not get it, oh, we are 10 minutes over. Oh, crap. Okay. If you did not get it, you can join that class.
All right.
Yes. All right. So, so this is the last step now. So when you flip the car vertical, what you're going to do is you're going to now go to, again, to Edit and Transform. I mean, where you go? Edit, Transform. And this time you're going to go to Warp. And here is the tricky thing with Warp now. What I want you to do is to Warp is like this interesting warpy way of doing things. I want you to warp the vehicle by dragging different areas of it. And your objective is you want all the tires to just touch. Now, it don't matter if it's distorted, because, you know, it's a reflection, so it's allowed to be distorted. And what I want you to do is to just kind of do some kind of, you know, just warp it like that. And when you get something that looks like that, you're going to choose OK. And then you're going to make it semi-transparent by adjusting the opacity of that layer right here. And that's it. You have placed your car there. All right. Now I'm going to ask you to do one more touch up to make it look nice because the image is a little dark. Remember that adjustment tabs that we used? I want you to turn on a brightness and contrast adjustment by just clicking on that. And when you click on that, notice on the layers tab, you see this brightness and contrast thing comes up. It might come up the top for you, or it comes up as a layer. All right, so what I want you to do is, how this works is when you adjust the brightness, everything that you adjust, everything that is below this layer will become bright. That's how it works.
Hold on. Question. One more question, sir. How you make it transparent now?
You adjust the opacity. Here it is of the layer. Make sure that you're on the right layer, the reflection layer, and you adjust
and
it.
you go to okay. Right. Opacity.
Right.
I'm gonna put that down to about Yes. Sorry, sir.
I'm very excited. The last little bit, what I call color correction, because the image is a bit dark. So let me repeat that step. So to do this, I think the best way to do this is I'm going to drag out the adjustments panel just so that you can see what's happening. Right. So I'm going to choose brightness and contrast. And what that will do is it will add this layer. This is called an adjustment layer. And how this works is you double click the little symbol here and this properties thing will pop up and I can adjust the brightness and contrast. See, so I'm making the image brighter. Everybody see that? So I want you to brighten up the image a little bit. Notice it's brightening the entire image. And that is because the brightness is on top. So it will brighten everything below. So as you probably would have guessed, if you put it above just the downtown layer, it will only be brightening everything below that. So notice I'm making everything dull except the car. You see that? And everything bright except the car. And this is because the adjustment layer is above the downtown layer, so it's not affecting the car layer. So I want you to do it this way, and I want you to make like the environment a little bit brighter because it was a bit dull. And then I want you to add one more adjustment to it. This one is a little bit of cherry on the cake. It's called photo filter. And what that does, it adds this tint. Let me turn it off and on. You see what it does? It adds like this tint. If you want to edit it, double click the icon as usual. What? Oh, it's already open.
Are you going to photo tint now?
I added a
Sir, I was a little bit behind. How did you open the adjustments?
So the adjustment is a panel. So here it is, adjustments. And I added a photo filter. So this filter kind of gives it a nice orangey kind of sunset vibe. And you can even adjust the intensity of that filter. And that is added to the entire image.
Yeah, sure. Bye.
Right. Okay. Now this is there is one more.
Blur the background. Blur the car back or something like that. Make it look like a movie.
Yeah, I wanted to do that as well.
You want
realize
to
that the time is there.
Sir, class now done. So the next class now start till, sir. The next teacher after this, so the class now start till 12:25.
All right, no problem, no problem. So the last, notice that I added a little bit of special effect on that image, which was to make the car look like it moved. Now, the reason I'm pushing, I want you guys to know this. If you notice some of the architectural images that you look at, right? If I just Google, I don't know, like I go to ArchViz, and just about every kind of nice architectural image you look at, you will notice. Do I see any here? I'm just picking it randomly. Is it here?
Confuse me.
What?
Confuse me.
Oh man, why I can't find any? I see these things all the while. You know, sometimes I kind of blur the people in the foreground or blur the car. I'm trying to show you that, but it is just.
I was touching my balls.
Oops. Right, sorry, it went black there. I would expect that it would have been in this image. Come on. Aha, here it is. Notice? Let's make that a little bigger. Open image in new tab. Nope. Right, everybody see that kind of blurring? You see that?
Yes, sir.
So of course that's done in Photoshop. I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's call this a little bonus section, right? Don't worry, it's not complicated. It's actually just a little bit of a camera trick. Now, how that works is that I'm going to ask you to duplicate your car layer once again. Don't worry if you miss this, you can always catch it back on the second class or in the video. But
how soon after the video?
the movie will be out at the end of the next class. All right. In my second take, I will probably do this much quicker. Anyway, so go to, you're going to duplicate this layer once again. You're going to right click and choose duplicate layer. And this time we're going to call this layer the, you guessed it, blur. Right? The blur. Right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah?
If we submitted the work, are we free to go?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
All right, and my name is on the register?
You got an email? You've been getting emails from me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Then you are good to go.
All right, well, have a good day, sir.
No problem. So to blur, so now I've created this other layer of the car, right? So notice that. And what we're going to do with this layer, that layer is right on top of this layer. We're going to add a filter. So I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to blur. And I'm going to add motion blur. All right, make sure that you have the blur layer selected, which is a copy of the car. All right, so I go to filter, I go to blur, and I go to motion blur. Now you're going to get this motion blur tab. And basically, you get this little slider bar. Let me see if I can show you how this works.
Sir, I don't see the motion one, you know.
You don't?
It's photo filter, you said?
No.
Which filter?
You go to filters, you go to blur, and then you see motion blur.
No, sir, we don't have no motion. Oh, like
Filter is at the top of the screen. Filter is at the top left.
Yeah, filter is right here. Make sure you're on that. You're on that.
The top bar.
Oh, that's so. Okay, understand.
The motion blur. Yeah, the motion blur. Now, how this motion blur works is notice that it's blurring in the direction of this little spindle here. So if the spindle is vertical, then it's going to blur vertical. You understand? So what you want to do is to make it like at an angle that, you know, in the direction of the vehicle. Maybe like that. And then you can also adjust the amount of blur, like it can be really blurry. Or it can be just a little blurry.
Move fast.
Maybe something like that is good. And then you're going to choose OK. So now you must be saying, okay, yeah, but now it's too blurry. But remember that we have the car layer behind it. If I turn off, let me put this over here. If I turn off the blur layer, I will see the car behind it, right? Everybody understands that concept? So what do you think I should do to the blur layer?
Opacity.
Opacity would be a good option, but not quite. That's a good try, though. I give you 30%.
Shift it a little.
Shift it a little is a good option. I also give you 30% for that.
Put it behind the car, the first layer.
Put it behind the first layer is a good answer. I will also give you a 30% because you can try it out. If I put it behind, that's what it would look like. So it's not quite what you want. Come on, you did this already.
Turn down the blur.
No, you did this already. I'll give you a...
Sir, you have to rub it out.
I knew that. I knew that.
So you're going to go for your eraser tool, but this time you're not going to have the eraser so big. So you're going to want to turn down the size of that eraser. And then you're going to kind of erase the front of that blur layer a little bit. Just like that. Just a tad. And for those of you who suggested to move it, you could also move it a little, just slightly.
Sir, we have to rasterize it.
Yes, you must rasterize it. Yes, you must. Hold on, why didn't I rasterize mine? It was rasterized already, and I didn't notice. Okay. Yes, you can't erase something that is not rasterized. And that, my friends, is exercise 1. That wasn't so bad, right?
Sir, I was struggling.
Sir, mine not rasterized, you know.
if the blur for the blur layer, what you have to do is you just right click it and choose rasterize. It shouldn't be
You sure that oh rasterize already? Oh, never mind.
right.
Sir, how do I get rid of like small white pieces that are away from the car? They're not on the car now, but like for the wider part of the white paper, some little specks that are from it.
Yes.
Yeah. How do I get rid of those?
You need to erase it. But if you have turned it into a smart object, you know you can't erase it, right?
I don't think I turned it into a smart object because I spent most of the time trying to
get rid of it.
Lasso the object.
Right. So you can just use your eraser tool and rub them out.
Okay.
Or you can just cut them out. But essentially that is our exercise 1. So what I'll be looking for is their sky replacement first, right? Then you're gonna cut out the car, and then what we did was to add some, we did a reflection, that's something important, and then we did a motion blur trick. We learned about smart objects and what's the difference between a smart object and a rasterized object. We know that if we carry images into Photoshop, when we are manipulating it, we should turn it into a smart object and try not to manipulate it in its rasterized state, because we could lose information. We could lose pixels, right? So as much as possible, we try to convert it to a smart object. All right. I hope you had.
How we save this now? We just save it.
Well, I suggest you save the PSD files for yourself in case you need to remember how to do stuff.
No, sir, how it's saved?
But to upload it to me, you're gonna send a JPEG.
Yeah, how you do that?
Oh, okay. Sorry, you go to File and you go to Save.
Okay.
Save as. Right, and you see many different file formats here. We'll talk about it in the lecture session, but essentially saving it as a Photoshop file means that you keep all your layers, and saving it as a JPEG means it's now flat, so you would lose all your Photoshop manipulations.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. So if
we suppose
save it to continue, save it as a Photoshop file.
Exacto mundo, which is a significantly bigger file.
Okay.
Oh, so save it as a Photoshop file, and we supposed to send it to you as a JPEG.
Right. I do not want you to fill up my Google Drive with your Photoshop files.
Okay.
Cool. But you can keep it and for reference.
Photoshop, God.
Okay, so I hope you guys had some fun. I shall see you next week or maybe later for some of you.
Sir, you said that. Sir, why won't you upload the recording after this class?
I think I could do better with the recording.
Oh.
I think it's too long because it's like an hour and a half. It's a half hour over. So I still have this recording, So I mean, I'll just upload the best one.
Okay, because what I just wanted to do, fix mine as soon as possible. Please send.
Okay, no problem. Here's one. I will just upload this. It's okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Do you know where you go to see the uploads?
On the design computing website.
Where on there?
Recordings. I'm guessing. Hold on, Auntie. Yeah, coming.
Sir, question.
You go to the forum section,
okay.
Right? Right. So I think you need to register for the forum. Yeah, you use like your Google or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I will make, what am I going to call it now? I will make some kind of discussion heading. It's like a forum. So I'll make a heading called like DDM Zoom recordings. How about that?
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Right. And you can actually discuss things around that section as well. All right?
Okay. All right.
Sir, the quality.
I'll be using that right after my class.
Okay.
I'm way behind.
No problem. Repeat.
Sir,
the
which number? The quality, yeah.
You can max it out. It's a JPEG, so it won't be that big. You can.
So how much is that?
How much?
You give me a number to put it at, you know. It's a quality.
Yeah, man.
Maximum. Me see it at 9, so what put that? 100?
No, you can leave it at whatever it is. What you do, you take a look on the file. You know, just make sure it looks okay to you.
How we upload?
The submit button is on the handout. Let me make sure that
you want this.
This exercise is collected at the end of class.
Oh, so we'll send it which one will reach?
Right. So essentially, you need to send it to me today. So if you're not interested, it you have till the end of the day.
How we send it to you now?
Stuck a warp.
JPEG. JPEG.
Yes, sir, but how? With your name and stuff?
No, there is a submission form on the handout.
Oh.
On the handout, there is a button that says submit here.
Okay.
The reason why I'm upset being stuck a warp, so but you don't want the video to finish it.
Yes, so I'm going to stop this recording now, and then Zoom will probably take about half hour to convert it. And then I will upload it to the forum section. So the forum section, let me show you where that is. When you go to the site, well, you need to go to the home page. So on the home page, you go to forums. I think you need to you don't need to sign in. That's good. No, you need to sign in to post a comment. The good thing about the forums is that you can see discussion from previous years. So it's hopefully a repository for knowledge, right? So what I am doing, I have to log in as the admin. I'm going to create a forum and call it like DDM Zoom recordings, and I'll post it there. So any discussions that have to do with that Zoom recording, you would just post that discussion there.
Okay.
You have to sign in to post naturally, so you know who is posting. And I think you get a notification. I don't remember, but it works like how average forum works. All right. Okay.
Right, so is it that for the day?
That is it for the day for you, but I have to do this again.
Okay, sir.
All right, so I'm going to end the meeting now. So I'll see you guys next week for part 2, exercise 2. We are going to remain in Photoshop. So we're going to do more Photoshopping next week. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, sir.